Just a few brief observations on some of the geography of the Holy Land, which is a very variable geography. You can just go 5, 10 miles and be in a completely different biosphere. So the Holy Land from space, just very high up. You see the large sea at the south is called the Dead Sea, sometimes called the Salt Sea. It's dead because it's so salty, very little can live in it. And then we see up to the north of there, near the top of the map, the Sea of Galilee, and connecting them is the Jordan River. And it's a large rift valley, as we'll see, that where two plates of the earth are pulling apart there and creating a large, deep chasm in the earth. So that both the Sea of Galilee and the Dead Sea are beneath sea level. The uh, the Sea of Galilee is hundreds of feet below sea level compared to the Mediterranean off to the left there. And then the Dead Sea is like as much as 1,500 feet below sea level. So it's a remarkable like rift in the earth. You go down into it, and it's near the Dead Sea. You're really at the lowest place on the earth in terms of dry land. So more of a typical map here. We see Capernaum and at the north there, and the Sea of Galilee, and that would have been Jesus' kind of home base for his public ministry up in Galilee. And although he made trips down to Jerusalem, some 70 miles, maybe several times a year, he spent most of his time up in Galilee. They were hardy people. Imagine those walks. Now, this shows you a little bit of you can sort of see the 3D quality of this a bit. You see that rift in the center there, surrounded by high mountains on either side. When I say high mountains, I'm thinking like Appalachian, not Rocky mountains, but it's still quite hilly, quite mountainous in many ways. And these were hardy people. They walked these terrains and remarkable, hardy, strong people. But you can kind of see in this sort of 3D quality, even though it's a 2D picture, a little bit of the quality of the high mountains on either side of the Jordan River and the two seas. Okay. Moving this shows you a little bit about the vegetation. It may be hard to see, but you see the basic green. That would be kind of the forested areas where they get the most rainfall, and the trees are the most luscious. Now, the areas around it, more brownish, are not completely dry. That would be the really light brown desert regions. But what you do have are like good arable land, where there's you're able to grow crops and things in some degree. So that would be just a little bit of the vegetation you'll see in the land. And now it's a land of great extremes. You can go just 10 miles and you're in a completely different biosphere. So here we are at the Sea of Galilee looking across from it. As you can see right in front of us, a very rich kind of area, farming area, but right across to the Golan Heights there, suddenly very dry, very rocky. And it's these mountains that create a lot of that the mountains that are sort of behind us in the picture get all the rainfall and pretty much squeeze it out before it gets across to the other more desert areas to the other side of the Sea of Galilee there. So it's not untypical of mountains what they do to moisture. It's a much drier climate than say the East Coast of the United States, but they do get some adequate rainfall for good harvesting there, but not as much, and it dries up pretty quickly as you get away from the coast. Here's just another picture of a beautiful green Galilee that's looking down toward the Sea of Galilee. And now this is the hill country of Judea, south of Galilee, in that region. But you can see these are not small little hills; these are mountains. And this is where Our Lady would have met in this region with when she went down to visit her cousin Elizabeth. So you can see hardy people. They really did travel and walk these terrains, and it's quite remarkable. So here you have then this sort of almost Appalachian-like quality, lots of trees and greenery and reasonable rainfall. And but you'll go maybe 10, 15 miles off to the east, past Jerusalem, and you drop into the Rift Valley, and all of a sudden you're in howling and it's remarkable the change almost just right over the hill, and you just drop down into this desert. And this is taken near the Dead Sea, this region here. So you'll see again how powerful the effect of the terrain is on in terms of the rainfall and therefore the biospheres. And this would be just sort of the political regions at the time of Jesus. You'll see in the south Judea, where Jerusalem is located. Up to the north there, on the left and north side, is Galilee, where again Jesus spent a good deal of his public ministry. Now, off to the right there in the middle is called the region of the Decapolis. And the region of the Decapolis is region of 10 cities that were being built by the Romans in the Greco-Roman style. Very, very, very large and beautiful cities that are involved. And Jesus would have certainly known about them, but there's little evidence that he spent much time over in that region. He did go north into the Tetrarchy of Philip, into the area of Caesarea Philippi, and into what we call modern-day Lebanon, up near Tyre and Sidon, up in those regions occasionally as well. So again, remarkable how much terrain they covered. And this is just the Sea of Galilee from space. We'll just go on. A little bit of then the Galilee at the time of Jesus. You'll see some of the familiar towns. Magdala there at the left in the center by there with the Sea of Galilee, where Mary Magdalene was. There's little evidence that Jesus just spent much time there, though there is one reference to the fact that he grabbed a boat there one day. You'll see then as you come a little bit north of there, on the northwest side, the Capernaum, which is his main base of operations, and beside it where Peter and Andrew were probably born, but they had by that time moved to Capernaum and had their fishing business there in Capernaum, and so on. Way off to the left there would be Nazareth, in the center left of the map, and you'll see that's not on the Sea of Galilee. It's about 4 or 5 miles inland, and north of there is a town called Sepphoris, where it was being built at the time, and it's probably where Joseph and Jesus got a lot of business, so to speak, because they were builders. And it was quite a beautiful new town that was being built again in the kind of the Greco-Roman style. So Nazareth was a very tiny village, so I'm sure they had to travel to get some of their business, and Sepphoris is a likely candidate. Now, this next slide, a little bit of the hilly, mountainous, and valley-like quality of the region around the Sea of Galilee. It kind of gives you a little bit of a 3D effect there on this relief map. You'll see again these very, very large, almost Appalachian style size hills that are in the region. And this then again shows you just a few pictures of Galilee as we finish up here. Beautiful green area. It's a Mediterranean climate, so there's a dry period where around October somebody turns on the rain, and it keeps raining. Not raining every day, but the rains happen. And but about mid to late April, somebody just turns the rain off. It doesn't rain at all, really, in what we call that period from about April all the way up till close to September, October, when the rains come back. So in the time that this picture was taken, it was the rainy time of the year, and you can see how beautiful and green Galilee is. But it gets kind of brown and so on the other times of the day. And it's another example of Galilee, showing the topography, quite hilly, mountainous.